Thank you, Ciarán. Minister, two constituents of yours and ours have contacted me in relation to this bill who are going through this scenario themselves at the moment. Just like to briefly read to you from one of the Castleknock family. Our family are currently suffering under the restrictions imposed on medical staff, patients, families and friends by current legislation. Our daughter and her husband were delighted to announce the news of their first baby last October. I'll obviously just give you an edited version. They've since been told that their baby is a baby girl who has a condition incompatible with life outside the womb. It cannot be emphasised strongly enough the impact this has caused on our daughter and her husband, their parents, families and friends. She's been too distressed to work since the baby's diagnosis, and they've been mourning the loss of their baby since week 14 of the pregnancy without actual resolution of delivery. If the proposed amendment was in place, she would have been delivered in a sensitive, caring, supportive environment at 17 to 18 weeks. She would have received counselling, medical support and would be back at work again, healing and looking forward to planning for another baby. Instead, she and her husband will be travelling to Liverpool on Monday, the 9th of February, where they'll deliver her baby. My daughter and her husband have nothing but praise for the wonderful medical care and support they've received from all the staff in Holles Street, but they're powerless to care for her appropriately in this pregnancy. Minister, isn't this absolutely embarrassing, sickening and shameful? That we have families, that we have women being put through this in 2015 in this country. Now, you mentioned earlier about a mandate. I'd defy you to walk out those gates and find one person on the street who'd support any family being put through this. I would absolutely defy you to find anybody who'd support, who would oppose this legislation and support what's being done. Forcing women to carry dead babies to full term, or else, but that's what is the scenario, or else forcing them out of the country to deal with the situation for themselves in a foreign place without the support of their family, at their own expense, making their own arrangements. So I certainly support, as does the Socialist Party and the Anti-Austerity Alliance, this bill. I'm not going to get into a Jesuitical debate about whether you can predict a fetus living for 2 minutes or 3 minutes outside the womb. In fact, this is an extremely narrow bill. But why are we here? We're here because of the 8th Amendment yet again. And a tiny minority of people in this country would oppose this bill. And I'd say an extremely tiny minority. I've had one email from an avid anti-abortionist, pro-life person. But yet this tiny minority foisted this referendum on all of the rest of us 32 years ago. They don't have support in society any longer, and you're continuing to stand over that situation. How long are we going to have these debates? We've had the death of Savita, we've had a migrant rape victim, we've had a clinically dead pregnant woman, and we've these women being forced out of our country every day. I'm absolutely appalled as well for the Labour Party if they're not going to support this bill. And for Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil to stand over this situation for the last decades when they could have dealt with it. So if this is unconstitutional, what are you going to do about it? We're having a spate of referendums coming up in the next few months. Are you seriously telling me the age of the President is more important than this? You know, it's unbelievable that you're having a referendum which I'll fully support and I'll campaign for in terms of marriage equality, but the idea that this isn't equally important. You've already had the United Nations condemning this country. Obviously, it doesn't matter if women ourselves complain, but this country has become the source of international opprobrium at this stage. We've the same situation as well, by the way, in Northern Ireland, where sectarian parties like the DUP and the SDLP are preventing this legislation coming in to Northern Ireland as well. So it would seem that women and families are prey yet again really to the role of the Church in this country over the years in preventing this coming in. So I would ask you, Minister, if you're not going to do the decent thing and support this legislation. Let it get tested in the courts if somebody wants to take a case. Well, then you're shaking your head. Will you agree that within the lifetime of this government you'll bring in a referendum to repeal the 8th Amendment? Because ultimately, I agree with you, that's the only way that we can deal with giving women and their partners their own decisions. It shouldn't actually even be at the behest of two doctors. People should be able to make these personal decisions for themselves and have it dealt with through our health service, not export this problem and send them abroad on ships and planes at their own expense and to deal with on their own. It's absolutely shameful as well if the Labour Party, I'm glad somebody has come in from the Labour Party to listen to the debate, is going to stand over this not being dealt with. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Thank you.